lucky with Olivia?
I really hope
Every
so.
timeline.
I know, Lincoln's been pining and pining and pining away, and every time he makes progress, it goes back in the other direction. So I think the writers have a sense that Lincoln needs some completion in that department and some fulfillment, because he's been out in the cold for way too long.
Do you have... I want to take a picture.
Hello.
Thanks. Yeah. Tell us about what it's like to play different versions of the same character.
It's awesome. It's like therapy for me, because I have this one character, which is the Blue vs. Lincoln, who's kind of insecure, and so if I'm feeling that way, I get to kind of just feel that way and be in that character and be in that body. And then I get to go and play this alt Lincoln, who's very secure and confident in who he is and is a man on a mission and has that military background where you don't really question things and you just go for it. And to get to switch back and forth, I mean, it's amazing because whichever character I'm playing that week, it kind of colors how I interact with the world in my own personal life. And it's just amazing to kind of have that experience to grow from.
Are there particular challenges if during the course of the day you're playing the same character in different...
Yes, changing clothes is exhausting. I'm sure there are others who feel the same way and others that don't, but probably the most challenging thing for me when you're playing the two characters and you're acting with each other at the same time is having one setup and shooting that, and then they say, okay, you need to go change your clothes now. So you got to like run, you got to like change your makeup, change your hair, and then remember exactly what you did on that one side, because then you're going to react to that as though it's happening right in the moment. So that's pretty challenging.
Do you have a stand-in or somebody?
Yeah, you'll have a stand-in. We do it a few different ways, depending on the shot. You'll either have to look at the air or look at a green screen, or you can look at a person that's pretending to be you. And they're usually a non-actor that kind of looks like you, and it's really weird because they'll just be standing there like, and then with their like arms matching the movement that you did. And so you have to look at that and then pretend that there's a real person there like saying the things that they're saying. In the sound department, what you'll do is you'll pre-record and they'll play. Some people listen to it in their head on the other side, like what you said, and then other times you'll use like a speaker. I like using a speaker because then you can actually like hear it coming from a certain direction and interact with that. It's crazy, but it's really fun, and every actor on the show who deals with the doppelgangers does it in a different way, like slightly different. It's really interesting to see people do it differently.
Are you worried about what happens if Peter goes back to his timeline? That Lincoln wasn't really a part of the Fringe team.
Well, let's see, it was like toward the end of season 3, that Lincoln did meet Peter, and they did have a conversation where he said, like, feel free to come back one day, or I forget what the exact phrasing was, but it was open for them to interact again in the future, and possibly for that Lincoln to actually become a part of that world, because now he knows about it, and so he's either going to get killed by the government or they'll let him in.
I really enjoyed the work you did on Dirty Sexy Money.
Oh, thank you.
But this character on Fringe is so different in different genre. How did you convince the showrunners or producers that you were right for this role?
They kind of convinced me. I mean, I was offered the guest star to play the alt Lincoln in that universe, and so I had just done Dirty Sexy Money playing this spoiled 25-year-old boy that just made out with Lucy Liu all the time, which is pretty awesome. And then they asked me to be this military guy in an alternate universe that wasn't on any of the episodes before. It was extremely intimidating because you're walking into this completely foreign world in a completely foreign environment that I hadn't worked on before, and playing this character who, frankly, I wasn't quite sure if I'd be able to pull off, because he was so centered and grounded and constantly dealing with these incredible emergencies of universes falling apart at the seams and needing to deal with that. And one of the first scenes that we shot was Olivia and Lincoln deciding that this theater was unstable and we might have to turn on this device that would amber the area and we would all die. It was completely intense to go from Dirty Sexy Money and jump right into that. And I wasn't sure that I pulled it off, and then I went home and I watched that episode later on and I was like, oh, it's actually believable. Like, I did okay.
Sorry, last question. Just a heads up.
Okay.
I've heard a little bit about episode 19. Sounds like it's going to be interesting and fun. Is there anything you can tease about what Lincoln's up to?
I can't talk about episode 19. I just know that it's really awesome, and Desmond from Lost is in it, which, I mean, is incredible. He was in, I thought, the episode of Lost of Desmond being lost in time and trying to find, and he was one of the best standalone episodes of TV I've ever seen. That and Louis C.K.'s Duckling, I think, was incredible.
Do you ever, obviously the Fringe fan community is a very vocal one, do you ever go online and check out what fans are saying about
I read what people say. Like, I have a Twitter account because I love reading everything, but I don't have anything I want to say about it, but I love kind of seeing how much attention to detail everyone is paying, and how, like, you'll create the smallest thing and people notice, and I just love how complex the show is able to be without catering to the lowest common denominator that maybe hasn't watched every episode, that you can really go for it is really great to me.
And if you could go into an alternate universe, what kind of universe would you want to go to?
If I can go to another universe?
Yeah, alternate universe.
Another alternate universe in the show. I mean, Lincoln would want to go to a universe where he is with Olivia and Peter is a friend, but not trying to take Olivia from him. And I'm sure he feels the same way about Lincoln.
What about yourself? If you could travel to an alternate universe?
If I could travel to an alternate universe, I would want space travel to be more of a reality. I would want the dream that NASA had in the 60s and 70s to be alive today, and that the budget we spend on military actually going toward exploration and discovery.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.